Hello, Motiva. We bring you
Hi.
to a day uh, where you are in your funky new home for now. Uh, Currently, it is a day of the week that you are not quite sure. But as you have interacted through your days with the Golgari Swarm, you've come to realize that a lot of your shifts are more leaning towards dusk and nighttime. uh, you assume to help with safety, make sure people aren't on the streets when you guys are, perhaps just enjoying the night as company more than the day. But this means it's very easy for you as the weeks start to crawl by and you've started going your on your topside visits with Adri because you have now figured out how to get to Kurskaya Station on your own, which means that the city of Ravnica, or at least the 10th district, is your oyster. You
Yes.
Yes, you would also learn that you actually can't get out of District 10 without an airship ticket. It's actually really hard to leave a district because they are so big.
Makes sense.
Yes, but you don't have to do anything outside of District 10. District 10 is kind of where the main stuff happens anyway. Um, And we are going to start with one of your encounters that you wanted, where you are trying to go up topside during the daytime. See a bit of what Ravnica has to offer, besides its very crowded locopede stations and sketchy markets. Tell me what you would like to be doing.
Uh, I like to imagine that Motiva gets to get on her broom like it's a bicycle.
Yes, you do actually. It would whenever you were hanging out with Adri, Adri would tell you that she in particular hates walking topside through crowds and stuff. Um but something very delightful about your broom, and you notice that it is a little bit more common than you would think, is that you can get on your broom the minute you get on the streets and kind of just hover over the heads of people instead of having to skirt around them.
Delightful.
Yes. I wouldn't say there's a ton of people doing this, but there's definitely another other handfuls of people using brooms, things like carpets, flying mounts, that sort of thing. You actually notice now that you can see the sky that there is actually a very large amount of what you can tell to be Boros using flying griffins, little drake mounts as a sort of sky patrol situation. Yeah.
Wow, even above the streets, I can't escape these little bitches.
Nope, they are everywhere.
Oh man. So you said, what am I doing?
Yes, I wanted to know what you were doing. What do you think your day would look like on your going out? I know where you're going, but what do you let's get in the mood a little bit. Some foreplay.
I honestly think that Motiva spends a lot of the time kind of looking around at things.
Mhm.
Like, I genuinely don't think she's seen the sun.
Oh, in weeks, no. You hadn't even seen the sky until you had been to the moon market.
Yeah. Uh, so I honestly think she's kind of sunbathing, which I imagine isn't too nice. If Ravnica is supposed to be Slavic based, it's probably like cloudy.
It's definitely cloudy. Sometimes the sun will kind of peek through, and it's also relatively cold right now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what season is it?
So they don't go a lot into Ravnica's seasons. But because this is based heavily on Eastern Europe, I'm just gonna say generally it's cooler. Because places like Russia have summer, but it's like summer to Russians, not summer to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So even on a day
man.
that looks kind of nice, it's a bit chilly. Not too uncomfortable. There's not snow or anything.
Man, imagining like Motiva like getting on her broom and She like has to go slower because it's just so freaking cold.
Yeah, the wind would suck if you were trying to speed around, honestly.
I would feel mighty uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So yeah, she would be like taking it slow, uh, low key staring at people that pass by her because she's curious about what they're riding on, because she's not used to things flying.
Yeah.
And like looking out at the sky, actually taking in the fact that she hasn't seen sunlight, grabbing like a drink and a snack.
Yeah,
Like
I
she's treating it like a Starbucks Barnes and Noble trip.
I really enjoy the idea that like you grab a coffee and like a really shitty super dense like scone, and so your like legs like your ankles are like twisted under your broom and you're sat back where the seat is like against like the edge of the broom, and you're just like snacking and you're letting it pilot itself but really slowly. It's really cute to me.
I think domestic magic is very fun.
It's very fun, and this would actually give you a chance to really sort of take in the sights. Something extremely interesting to Motiva is I know that Motiva has been in Strixhaven for a couple weeks, but it's still a couple weeks, and this sort of types of people and races that you encounter are still kind of skewed towards human or humanoids. You don't see that many outlandish races. Um, and even races like Owlin or Minotaurs and that sort of thing are kind of a bit on the more like low population side, at least on Strixhaven. You interact with a lot of humanoid people. And something very interesting when you are flying around Ravnica is you see a melting pot in a way that you would honestly be more used to seeing back on Earth in America, where you're seeing like entire gaggles of like these huge elephant people, loxodons, seeing minotaurs taking their kids out for walks. You're seeing goblins on step stools hawking newspapers. Um, you're seeing them be industrious in a way that's extremely interesting, and you're also seeing them in a way that's interesting for you as a person, as a part of the swarm. You have noticed and picked up that the swarm are very isolated, partly because of how people treat them, but also because of themselves. They're like, okay, we'll be self-reliant anyway. That's kind of our dig. Anyway, um, you're actually seeing that there's not a lot of social divide between guilds. You see a lot of guilds interacting with each other. You see intermingled groups of people in different guilds. And it's not like Strixhaven where you can very clearly identify like color affiliations, but you can usually tell who's like a Boros because they'll have armor on with like an insignia on the corner. You can tell when you see another Golgari because of the like sort of natural moss-eaten like state of their clothes because they don't really care about appearance. Um it's extremely interesting, I think, and I think it's a lot different than anything you've experienced either here or back in Strixhaven, because at this point you've been here for about 3 or 4 weeks, which is the same amount of time or longer than you had been at Strixhaven.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I really didn't think about that. Motiva will have been at Ravnica for longer than Strixhaven whenever she comes back.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. Can you give me just 1 second? I have to pause really quick.
Oh.
Wow. Um, you said that you wanted to grab a paper. I think reading a paper
Yes.
sounds really cute. I don't have anything prepared for reading a paper, but it's probably like stuff that's a little hard for Motiva to follow as a non-Ravnican anyway. It's like political stuff or like inter-guild stuff or like news about people you've never heard of.
Mm.
But it kind of adds to the feeling. And I think what's really interesting about you doing this is it's like I said earlier, you've started to be here for a while, and it's starting to feel like you are starting to slot into the experience of having to live in Ravnica.
I genuinely just think that at this point Motiva would, whenever she gets the chance, she would try to read the news
Hmm.
or like catch up on like things she's missed because She genuinely doesn't know how long she's going to be here or if she'll ever leave at all, in her perspective.
And that's the Planeswalker struggle, baby. We may know how long this time skip is. Motiva doesn't. That's the whole thing about a Planeswalker, is that you are sent to a world and you are generally there until you figure out how to leave, which means you have to integrate yourself into society, or else you're not getting the most out of your time.
It would just be a giant waste of time. So yeah, Motiva is just like reading stuff and she's like trying to form her own opinions about the guilds.
Yeah. I
'Cause, like, there's terrible biases.
There's terrible biases, and you would slowly learn, because each time you get a paper, you get a different paper. That each paper also has its own biases. It has its own. You have come from modern America, and you're a punk ass who is aware of these things, as like one can be in the 2000s in America. You can tell when people are propagandaing at you. Um, but I definitely think that that's really interesting. And after this, we can talk a lot more about like things that you would know, and like we've already talked about how Motiva would know the things you know about Ravnica, but there's also just like stuff that I don't think that you know off the top of your head either, like as in regards to like guild masters and important celebrities and that sort of thing, and that'd be really fun to talk about.
Yes.
Yes. But you, as nice as this is, you did have a goal in mind with this visit.
Yes, I did.
And through remembering the conversation and through asking people, surprisingly, people don't give you a weird look when you ask. It is definitely an awkward topic to bring up, but nobody is like saying like, why is she looking for that? And you understand why when you get closer to it. You find it in the center of District 5. And you see that there's this sort of plaza that had another statue. The base of the statue and the statue don't seem to match. It seems like the idea of a statue was toppled and a new one was built. And you see this giant, awe-inspiring statue of a dragon standing on two legs with horns that almost make it look like a halo and giant, terrible wings. And you see that even though it is crumbling and it seems to be weak in certain areas, it still has stood. And as you get closer, you see that there actually is a gathering of people around it. And at first you're worried about what you and Andrea talked about, how there might still be cults dedicated to him here. But instead you can easily recognize what is a candlelight vigil. And people leaving candles and praying and talking amongst themselves.
Can I listen in to the chatting?
You definitely can. I would love for you to roll me a perception check. And if you're trying to be sneaky about it and not be noticed, I would like a stealth. You can try to listen from where you are, or you can try to start milling around the people over there.
Can I... Is this the time to use it? Can I go invisible?
If you want to go invisible, by all means.
I've used it.
Okay, you are invisible, and you go on up, and I want you to roll me a perception check. Less to just hear smatterings and more just for me to figure out how much you hear.
9.
9. Okay.
Wait, perception? What
about perception?
No, I thought I had a 1d4 for it.
No, unfortunately not. Thank you for remembering, though. I will be nice and say that you can keep your student die, because I know you're not going to clubs for a while, but also it's annoying to keep track of when people have it and don't have it. That's kind of a low score, but you don't really need a high score, as you're sort of like milling about and sort of looking at this statue that you know is Nicobolus, one of the most terrifying creatures you have heard of to date. And you realize that the majority of people here are just average Ravnikins. A lot of the conversations are about certain things or certain events that happened during what they call the War of the Spark. Many people are talking about people that they lost, or people like they lost that knew each other in common, if that makes sense. The idea of two people, you overhear two people talking about how their children were friends and both perished during this war. Or you see a Boros being consoled by a senator talking about how a majority of his battalion was lost during one of the sieges, or a Celestian talking about how they lost a couple acres of really important farmland. And it's sort of a memorial right now. And it is a lot of people bonding over what they have lost. And you recently learned that Ravnica is still considered rebuilding, and you can feel it very poignantly here. But it calls attention to something that you had already noticed on your walk, and it is that you feel a strong sense of community from the people of Ravnica in a way that is not always felt in where you're from. And while this was a terrible happening and people mourn for how it has changed their life, divides of what guild you're a part of, or even the gateless, who are people who aren't a part of a guild, it doesn't saying it doesn't matter is incorrect, but people are crossing those divides in their everyday life and becoming stronger because of it. And how you feel about it, I think, is up to you, but I think it is something that you feel very strongly as you stand invisible in the middle of this crowd.
Yeah, I think that would be really heavy for Miss Motiva.
I think so
Honestly.
as
I think she wouldn't not be invisible, because I feel like it would be more unnerving if all of the sudden there was just a woman there.
well.
But I do think that she would pay her respects for people that are gone.
I think that's definitely really fair. I definitely think that it's something that probably sits with you the entire time you stay here and even when you leave. And I think it gives you a very interesting perspective when you are people watching on your way back, that even though there is still a class divide, something that you are familiar with, and it's a very big one, there doesn't seem to be as much discontent as you would have thought the first time you came through.
Man.
Can
I get a picture of Mr. Nicky B?
Yeah, you can snap a picture.
No, I mean, I need a picture. Motiva doesn't have a phone? You silly.
Oh my god, you're right. I'm sorry. I can get you a picture, though.
I know. It's very sad. If Motiva had a phone, she would be having a field day.
I'm gonna see if I can actually get a picture of the statue.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, found it. This is kind of a faraway picture, so I'm gonna give you this picture, and then I'm also gonna give you a picture of like an IRL statue you can get.
That's a man.
Yeah, he stands up. He stands up and he walks upright. That Nicky B. Mr. Nicol Bolas.
His ass.
What?
Hate his ass.
Yeah, he's really not great. I'm gonna be real. He's pretty awful.
Kind of a cockfoot.
Kind of a cock waffle. All right. Do you think that you would go and sit at Kurskaya today? Or do you think that you would just go home and sleep? I forgot to tell you this whenever you started this outing. But because this is during the daytime and this is actually a portion of this is the day part of your day that's like rest for work. Coming out here would mean that the next day during work you're exhausted, but that won't really affect anything. It's just flavor. It's just that you're electing to do this and missing rest.
I think since I don't want to compare this to whenever Motiva was in school and stuff because it really isn't comparable to that. I think Motiva really would just be willing to go and risk being exhausted at work the next day.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Do you think that you would go spend time at Kurskaya, or do you think you're gonna go and have some time alone? I know you weren't a fan of the Locopede station the first time.
I think that she would go to the heart of Kriskaya Station. I think she would want to make sure that she is easily seeable.
Yeah. I will say that you find a place that's sort of in the middle. It's sort of near the stairs, it's sort of near the platform, it's sort of near the coffee stand. It's in a place where you can kind of take stock of who all is around you, and you are in a place that is very visible. While also not being suspicious because you would be close to, specifically, sorry, let me check my station map really quick. Sorry, I should have had that ready, but I didn't. I don't want to say it's Communarca, I want to say it's a different one. Yeah, you'll be near a platform for Covrino Station, which would be labeled 8th Precinct. I DM'd that to you, so we will not lose it. But you sit there and you wait a little bit. You spend a little time waiting. It's been a couple days since you sent your letter, and you're still not quite sure if it's going to reach the recipient. But you go and you sit. I would like for you to make me 2 rolls here. I would like you to roll me a perception check, and then I would also like for you to roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Aw, damn it! Oh, I'm seeing good today, boys!
Oh, natural 20! Oh, that's sexy. That's sick.
Let's hope this holds up. 13 for the wisdom.
Okay, cool. Nice, 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 nice. That's really fun. Okay, cool, okay, cool, okay, cool. So, I think that this feels like it means that Motiva is... I don't want to say that she shook off the heaviness of the visit out in the top side of Ravnica, but I think that it's almost steeled her. And in a way, I feel like you now want more than anything to see, if you see a familiar face. As you sort of crane to look around, you see that this is a particularly busy day. And similarly to how you saw newspaper hawkers, up topside you see one here. A little ways down from a person who is busking, and they seem kind of annoyed that they are now sharing a space with somebody who is just loudly yelling over their music about the current news. But as you sort of do that, you see somebody start to make their way over to your bench. It's a man you're not familiar with. He looks to be human, or at least humanoid. As you've started to learn, you can't truly assume these days. With sort of this messy brown hair, and these really striking blue eyes, but they're kind of the only interesting thing about this person. As he kind of goes to really subtly sit down next to you on your bench. And there's kind of like a pause before he goes to say anything. I think he would make small talk with you, but I think that there's like a pause. So I would love to hear how Motiva would react with your natural 20, because you kind of see it as it's happening. It doesn't look like he was staring at you beforehand. It just looks like he very specifically came to sit at this bench.
I'm not gonna lie, I think I know who this is, and I'm pissing my pants. I'm really scared, and I hope I'm wrong. Okay. Okay. One, I like to imagine Motiva's really moe and cute, and she has, like, her broomstick between her legs, and she's, like, curled up a little bit, and she's just reading.
Yeah, that's cute. Reading a little newspaper.
Yeah, she's just reading a little newspaper, and she's just, like, doing a crossword in her head.
That's so cute.
I like to imagine that's a way that she learns new words, because she's just like, not Tuesday, it's Kinsday.
Do you actually want to know the days of the week? Because I have it still open, I think.
I would love that,
Okay,
unironically.
Cool. Let me get it. Okay, it's on the other thing. Sorry. I have a lot of guys open. We got, it is a 7-day week. So there's that. So there's, Ob's Day, Niv's Day, Svog's Day, Azor's Day, Rock's Day, Raz's Day, and Mott's Day. They are vaguely named after the Paruns of all the guilds, is something you would learn.
Yeah.
So, like, Ob's Day is Obsdaya, Niv's Day is Niv-Mizzet, Svog's Day is Svogthos, that sort of thing. So that's cool.
Oh, God.
That's fun lore that you learn.
What was your question besides that?
You have a second to do or say anything before your benchmate starts making small talk with you.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's fine if you don't want to say anything, but you have a moment because you got a natural goddamn 20.
That's not in character.
You have to keep track of what you as your character knows and what you as as Ashton knows. I'm holding a gun.
No, I know. No, I was gonna make my Motiva just say like, don't flirt with me. I have a boyfriend. But Motiva really wouldn't do that because she doesn't lie about stuff like that, and also that's just straight up not true.
Yeah.
I think she like jumps a bit and then she like side eyes and just sees it's a dude and just keeps doing her crossword, but more like intensely. She's just like, I'm not going to talk to you vibes. She's emitting that don't bother me.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm wearing earbuds feeling.
First of all, I would love for you to give me then a let's say an intimidation check, but I'm going to take it with a grain of salt because you're not actively doing anything. You're kind of just trying to psych him out. And I also want to ask, have you written down how much Motiva weighs?
Excuse me?
Have you written down how much Motiva weighs?
Yes.
How much does she weigh?
187 pounds.
Amazing information then, actually, to give you context on this character. This man is actually smaller than you in height and width.
What? A little man?
He, you would kind of eyeball that he is about 5'10" and weighs about 160 pounds. He's, more slender than you are. That's an investigation check, my darling. I need an intimidation one.
That would have been a great roll, though.
Yeah, it would have been. You gotta re-roll it, though.
Actually, my intimidation is 1,000 times better, so don't look at it.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool, awesome. So, hold on, I have to get Chauncey off the counter again. Uh, now I have to roll for this man. Hold on, that's a really good intimidation roll.
My vibes will kill the bitches.
You see as soon as you kind of like go to cut your glare over at him, he pretty instantly looks almost sheepish and puts up both of his hands in like that sort of like gesture, and just kind of says in this really like smooth, quiet voice, "I can go."
Are you gonna try and sell me something?
No, I've never been a particularly good salesman.
Okay, you're fine.
He goes to put his hands down and sort of shift how he's sitting on the bench. And there's sort of this kind of like long, sort of like quiet between you as you kind of go back to your crossword puzzle. And he is going to say, I think he's gonna try to make small talk, because I think he's gonna try to see that you're like reading the paper and sort of like ask if there's anything good.
Oh god. My favorite thing is I kind of like that you didn't tell me what was going on, because I think that kind of goes into how Motiva doesn't know what the fuck is going on in these papers either.
Yes.
I think she literally just quotes like the headline on the first page.
Oh, that's fun. I like that. Okay, cool. So I'm
Like
gonna.
she isn't speaking for herself. She just says like Orzov Bank found to have discrimination policy against elves.
I can believe that one right there. Wow, that's very in character. That's extremely funny. Yes.
Says it exactly like that too. She's just reading it.
I love that. One second, hold on. I think as you sort of go to tell him, he kind of gives this sort of little like huff of a chuckle, and he says, "Well, I can't say I'm surprised, but doesn't sound particularly good, no."
It's just a newspaper. They aren't going to talk about anything nice or fun. They're here to make people happy.
That's true, but some of it might be important enough to know regardless. At least the people who write it probably think so.
Some of them do. I don't know. I feel like a unpaid intern that wants to talk about kids making fireworks for their parents for a show or something is definitely not getting in, though.
Maybe some of the smaller ones, maybe in some of the side columns, but I assume they save most of the pages for the big ones. And you see he gives like a finger quotes during that.
Guild drama seems so ridiculous. It would be so ridiculous to Motiva.
Yeah, fair enough. It's like if your like utilities company was like beefing with your legislator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if the janitors had a union and they were like, "Fuck the fucking actors guild over there."
Fuck the actors. Fuck the engineers.
Literally, it's
The
so
local
funny.
jesters want to beat the shit out of the people who make our sewers.
Literally, it's so funny. Oh, I gotta let Lily out really quick. Hold on, I got Lily out. Okay, Motiva is doing what?
I think Motiva's gonna like just be like a cheers to that.
think after that, you kind of like sort of like slink back into sort of a. I think whether Motiva feels it's companionable is one thing, but I definitely think that there's like these sort of like pauses of time where he doesn't say anything, but he doesn't really seem bothered by it. He kind of just people watches.
Yeah, Motiva would just keep doing her stuff. I think occasionally she'll just look over at him and like kind of just stay confused. But like he's technically not doing anything bad and he's not like sexually harassing her, so she's just kind of like this is just a very obviously lonely man.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep working on her stuff. I think the worst part is she doesn't have a train to catch, so she's also just not leaving. There could be like 15 trains passing by, and it's just like, nope, not mine.
um, I I love that for Motiva. I think Motiva is really fun. I love how Motiva is like, I'm 2 seconds away from biting you. Do not talk to me. What are you doing? Um, uh, I I think I think the next time he goes to talk to you again, it's like another like bit of whether I don't know if Motiva cares about small talk or not, but I personally think certain levels of small talk are really annoying. So another like really small kernel of just like things to fill the silence, and I think that he kind of like looks over at you kind of casually and like tries to go like, so how are things with the swarm lately? I don't see them in the papers very often.
Ah, mm, ha, mm, mm. You said that Motiva obviously looks like she's a part of the swarm, yes?
I would say that she looks very obviously like that because even if she's not wearing her moss covered outfit, there's like this sort of stereotype that like the swarm kind of just look kind of grungy, and she just looks kind of grungy. So if you want to say she's wearing a different outfit than her work outfit, you totally can, but I also assume that she's wearing like her work outfit.
You said it was her day off, right?
No, it is the night before work.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, she's wearing like her cardigan and overalls thing. Yeah, Motiva can't hide that. Yeah, that's like impossible to hide. Okay. Motiva would like kind of oh god, she would be stuck for a second because she actually doesn't know.
Yeah, kind of keep your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a pulls at her collar thing and just says, I'm definitely not the person to ask for that. I am far below the food chain to care.
I mean, that's fair.
If you want to ask, you can. I don't know. She like looks down to where the rats and stuff are, and she says, if you follow that for like 5 miles, you might find somebody.
I'm sure I could. I'm not particularly well versed in traversing the Undercity, though, so maybe I'll just hope to run into another one up here.
That's not happening. But
I mean, you're here.
technically,
It doesn't look like you're working, I don't think. Maybe it's my untrained eye, though.
no. I would be intensely ditching work if I was all the way over here. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really paying attention to anything. So I'm just technically here.
I think he kind of nods at that, and there's another like dip of like quiet, I think. But I think that he kind of leads into the question now of I think he's gonna ask, are you waiting for something? Or do you just like the change of scenery?
I need to look at the letter Motiva wrote. I gotta keep my story straight.
Keep your story straight.
Okay. Motiva would say I'm waiting for a boy. A man, technically. Not a boy. Please don't call the police.
um, he's gonna kind of laugh at that and say, well, I'm sorry if I'm intruding on anything. I wouldn't want to throw a wrench in any sort of rendezvous.
Hey, you'll be fine. I don't even know if that's... I don't know if he's coming anyway, so you don't have to worry about that.
You see him go to kind of nod. And he looks sort of apologetically at you and says, well, for what it's worth, I'm sorry to hear that. But if you don't mind, I could just keep you company.
I don't mind, but I'm going to warn you, my brain is very broken, so I'm very bad at small talk.
Oh, that's all right then. I can just stop talking.
Bold of you to assume I don't like conversation, but I mean, like, hi. Motiva holds out her hand. And you officially have to say nobody can watch this because Motiva's gonna hold out her hand and say, hi, my name is Aino. Hello.
Oh, I love that she used her real name. That's so sweet. Hold on, I gotta get a name for this guy. I think that he's gonna kind of give you a bit of a smile. And I think he's gonna go and I think he's gonna shake your hand, and he has sort of this sort of reserved handshake. It's not super firm or super it doesn't impress itself upon you, you know what I mean? But he kind of gives you a smile. And he is going to say, well, it's nice to meet you, I know. You can call me Jace, since you were being honest.
Fuck, Motiva just fucking ah, ah, ah. She literally like gets up and she starts walking around and she says, fuck.
Up. Oh.
You almost got me fucked. Ooh. That's a identity fraud is like a crime, you know.
I Panini, I love Motiva so much. So you're just like walking around and accusing him of identity fraud?
Yeah, she's gonna be like, identity fraud is a crime, man. You can't do that.
He goes to hold up his hands again and says, "Hey, it's a surprisingly common name. I'm not identity frauding anyone."
Motiva's going to look at him dead in the face and she's going to say your name again, and I'm going to incite him.
Don't make a scene now. Come sit back down. We can talk on the bench.
She sits and she looks at him all pretty and she says, hi. I don't believe you, but whatever.
Well, that's unfortunate that you don't believe me whenever I gave you my name in exchange for yours. I've personally found it very moving that you would introduce yourself to me, a random man that sat down next to you on the bench in the station. But you don't really have to, believe me. That's fine. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Did he say that since you used your real name?
He did say that. He said
But he
since
was
you
gonna-
didn't lie.
Ah, fuck. Motiva's just gonna fucking... She's gonna get back into her position and she's just gonna put down the paper and say, okay, what? Is... She has a lot of things thinking, and I have so many words.
Oh
I have
yeah, tell
so
me what
many
you're
words I
thinking
could say.
then.
Is this what... Oh, no! I don't like that question.
Tell me what you're thinking.
Is this a thing that a bunch of Ravnican boys will do to get pussy? If he's lying, I can beat the shit out of him and run. Oh god, he actually was a creep. It is not that he is actually Chase.
Motiva's just freaking out, I understand.
Motiva just is like, oh no, the man sitting next to me was a freak. And then like eventually I think she's gonna if he is actually Jason, he's reading her mind. RIP to his ear holes.
Oh yeah, I know she's been screaming this whole time, don't worry.
Screaming and also really bad ADHD. There's 50 things going on in this girl's brain. And I think eventually she'll land on, oh god, he said that was my real name. Motiva's just gonna look at him and just be like, hey now.
I think something very interesting as you're kind of like going in circles and then you land on finally talking to him. He's kind of just like sitting there kind of like vaguely looking at you, and like about halfway through he tries to like give you like a smile. That's because he's just like kind of patiently waiting for you to keep talking. Yes?
You didn't pick it up, but it's the most like just not disgusted, but just tired sigh, and she just says, "Hi, okay, okay, no, I'm not reading. Also, what does this word mean?" And she just points at something.
He would go to look at it, and you see he kind of gives a bit of a squint at it for a second, and he would tell you.
Nice.
Have you calmed down
random. Oh well. Sure, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. Don't tell a girl if she's calmed down, though.
Hold on a second. I have to pause. The cats are fighting. Okay. You ended on don't ask a girl if she's calmed down.
Yeah, it's very rude.
Uh, I should probably actually have learned that lesson by now, huh?
Uh-huh. Motiva's just gonna look at him. Do you want to know what the first thing she said to me was? You want to know what the first thing she said to me was?
I want you to roll me an insight.
Oh, fuck. This son of a bitch. Roll good, you bastard. 21.
Uh, you see there's sort of a flicker on his face whenever you say that. No preamble. But you feel like you don't need to elaborate because it looks like that you saying that has had an effect on him emotionally. He looks almost. You can't tell if it's hurt or regret.
Oops, ow. Ah, fuck.
Um, and you see he kind of goes to sigh and say, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I figured I would hear about something like that eventually while doing this. He kind of just pensively looks at the locopede tunnel.
Motiva, like, curls up her fist on the paper and she says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was very rude of me.
No, it's fine. Uh, I'm sure I would have heard something like that eventually anyway. I guess there's no pretense left to this. I wanted to ask how the swarm had been doing in a less official capacity. So I thought I would ask someone that he thought was from the area, and I guess I found out.
Uh, From what I have inquired, uh, better. Uh, I promise that.
That's good. She's a good leader. I think better than she thought she was.
She was really nice even whenever I pissed her the hell off, so yeah.
Contrary to the image that she has, she doesn't like to hurt people. So,
I appreciate it. It's where I first dropped from hell, so.
I had an inkling that you might be a planeswalker, but it's interesting to see that it actually is the right assumption. You can kind of just, when you're used to it, you can feel when somebody is out of place, you know?
Yeah, it's a talent I have. I understand.
Picked an interesting place to land.
uh, there's a lot of bones. Somebody stuck a hand in my back. That was great. I knocked out for a week.
That
Yeah,
sounds in line.
yeah. First week in Ravnica, I was sleeping.
The spark is a very It's somehow a very delicate process and a very potent one, but I see that at the very least, Ravnica's been treating you as well as it treated me. It's definitely one of the better places to land, I think, despite its
Can't
problems.
I can't disagree. It's very similar to my home, just a lot more magic and less trees. Also, no dirt.
Yeah, the jump to no dirt was definitely an interesting one on my end as well.
Hmm.
I think he's gonna kind of lean into like looking over at you and saying, "She's treating you well, I hope. Does she know?"
Uh, it was the only reason she looked at me, so yes. Um, oh God, should I even keep my line of questioning to myself?
What do you mean?
Like, I have a lot of questions that I'm thinking about asking, but I'm trying to pick which one I should ask. Should I tell you my questions in my head?
Yes, actually.
Oh, fuck. Uh, I think. Okay, so there's three major questions that Motiva is trying to break down
Mhm.
to ask first, and it's, do you know who I am? Do you know who Onyx is? Do you know that Vraska is holding me here?
Delicious. You don't see a change on his face when you think those things. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think Motiva has an inkling of that's an option that's happening.
Yeah, because Motiva's only been brought up the idea of mind reading magic once. She doesn't know about that. I
Yeah.
hope you like me asking if I should do this, by the way.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
She kind of like thinks for a second and she says, is it normal for guilds to just uh, take planeswalkers?
Admittedly, not particularly. I don't have an affiliation with a guild, and I never have. Well,
Wow.
I've had guilds that have shown me kindness, and I owe them. I have guilds that I have a relationship with, but I've never been a member. Um, there's actually not as many planeswalkers here as you would expect for how widely known they are. But it's mostly because there was a time when there were a lot of us here. But planeswalkers that stay full time, I think there's probably only 3.
Including her?
Yes, including her.
Mm,
Uh, her, Kaya of Orzhov, and sorry, I have to look up this name because it's a character I'm not super familiar with.
I get him.
Uh, 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 there we go. And Ral Zarek of the Izzet League are 3 planeswalkers that are from here. Well, that call this plane home, at the very least. I'm not familiar with the plane that Kaya is from. But Vraska and Ral Zarek are Ravnican natives that have found their way back.
So, like, She has like a motion with her hand. And she's kind of just like looking at him and she's just like, I don't know how to ask this man a question. I don't know how to talk to dudes. This is a lie. And Motiva just looks at him and just says like, okay. Did Onyx put you up to this, or did you just profile me and scare the shit out of me?
This is a good question. I have to look something up. You see him actually seem confused by that, and he's going to kind of say, I'm not familiar with a person by the name of Onyx. If they're a planeswalker, I'm sure tangentially I might know of them, but there are new ones that crop up every second, it feels like.
I know the immediate thought Motiva has.
Uh-huh.
I've already seen where this question goes. I'm done here. Motiva just speaks up and says, I mentioned the Gatewatch or something, and I know that you're a part of it because she told me, so I was just curious.
Oh. Well, yes, I am affiliated with the Gatewatch. I stay pretty up to date with it. Currently, they're... No. Regardless, one of my allies might have met this Onyx that you speak of, but I have not. Work has kept me away.
Keep realizing Motiva's probably really mean in her brain.
Yeah, what's Motiva thinking in the brain?
I didn't know he works.
Ow! That's so funny. I love that. That's so funny. Get his ass.
I didn't know this man had a job. Motiva just kind of like shrugs and says, "Yeah, it's. I'm figuring out a lot of new names, so I'm guessing that's just going to be a game that I have to play. That's fine."
Very few planeswalkers know every planeswalker that every other planeswalker knows. It's very common to come together for something and find a new one that your friends had known for a long time and you just had not known existed.
She's just gonna put her hand through her hair and she's just gonna stare at the fucking tunnels.
Well, regardless. I got most of what I came here for, an update that felt more real and grounded in the actual lives of the swarm and not the politics that comes through. I won't intrude upon your waiting any longer. And you see him go to do that thing where he kind of like pats his knees to go to stand up. What are you laughing about?
He's trying not to laugh and he's an old man.
Do you think that in your head?
Yeah, she's literally just gonna be like, this is just a dude. This is just a guy. Rowan was right. This is just a guy. This is just a man. He plays cards and shit. This is just a dude.
I love that so much, Motiva. I love you so fucking much. Otherwise, he's just gonna wish you good luck. Say I hope he does show up. And he's going to leave unless you say anything else to him.
Nope. She wants him gone.
Yeah. He almost seems to melt into the crowd the minute he steps away.
Whenever she doesn't see him, she still stays tense for a good 10-20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Just like staring into the tunnel. Staring. And then eventually, whenever she feels like she rolled a 20 perception, and that's. I kind of want to say that can lead to like a kind of paranoia almost. And she's going to like take a long time. And then whenever she feels, quote unquote, like there's no eyes on her, she like untenses and doesn't even like try to go back to looking like she's doing something. She just like is fidgeting.
That's so interesting. You should walk me through how she's feeling.
I don't like that question. She kind of probably feels. I don't think she's angry, and I feel like that's the good thing. Motiva does not feel angry. I think she just feels anxious and is starting to realize that she doesn't feel like she has allies here. That like even in the swarm, even if she like does like Audrey and she like likes Vitali, they aren't her friends. And at like the drop of Rothka's hat, they would probably like gut her if told to.
It's very interesting that this interaction is making you feel that way. I think that's really fascinating.
Because like he was just like, yes, I'm a part of this and I have many allies. I know this person, this person, this person. I don't know everybody, but like I know people who know people. And she's just like, wow, I don't have those connections, and I feel like that's the only thing that keeps other planeswalkers alive is these connections.
Yes. You are slowly starting to realize that the only reason why planeswalkers are not meeting doom, even people like Onyx, people like Rowan and Will, people like even Onyx was like, I could only find you guys because I know a guy, Teferi, who's a planeswalker that could do this. Will and Rowan only found their way to Strixhaven because another planeswalker helped them. Like, it is constant ebb and flow.
Favors.
Planeswalkers are constantly affecting the other planeswalkers in their orbit, and you are only as strong as a group that you have, which is why something like the Gatewatch is important. And also is making you realize that even though you do not like this information you are learning about Onyx, I almost can argue you can't blame her thought process of giving you the strength of numbers.
Mm-hmm. Like, it sucks because like technically Onyx might be willing to help her with stuff. She has been proven to help her with stuff. But in the end, how much does that matter next to them being able to actually planeswalk, her being isolated? It doesn't matter if Onyx is her ally, if Rowan or Will is her ally, if any of the other planeswalkers in her hall are her ally, if the other teachers are her ally. She is completely cut off from them now.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see how you're reacting to this. I think it's really, really cool. I could literally just sit on recording and listen to you talk about this for like 3 hours. I'm so serious. It's so cool.
Thank you. I hope that it's not like emo, but I genuinely think it's like coming to Motiva's realization that like she isn't even a baby as a planeswalker. She's an infant.
It's very interesting because I really wanted this moment in the story. Again, sorry for people who are listening, but this is a very cool moment. It's like Motiva sparking was a wake up call for everybody involved, and mostly you, because you are now in a situation where you have been shown kindnesses in a way. You have been given support, you have been given things, you have a place to sleep, you have a way to eat, you have people who are willing to help you do stuff. You are so aware of how weak you are, and you are so aware of how to do literally anything on even ground with other people that are what you are considered a planeswalker. You just can't. You just can't. You're so. I feel like Motiva is so aware of how limited and weak and how little she can do on her own, and that is exactly what I wanted Sparking to feel like. Because Strixhaven is a community-oriented game, and the arc of the Spark is you have to figure it out yourself.
Yep.
It's very cool. I'm gonna pause really quick because that's the end of your Locopede Station interactions. I think just having one is fine because this one was really juicy, and then we can go into your little magic tests, your little things.
Yahoo!
Yahoo! I'm gonna pause. It's gonna be like a little break because I need to pee and get water.
This.
Hi. So, do you want to do? Actually, no. I think I know how I want to do this first. You wanted to try to harness your spark, right?
Yes.
Walk me through what you want to do. Like, set the scene for me so I can know how to tell you this.
I think Motiva wants to. So, to trigger the spark is to trigger an intense emotion or feeling.
That is to trigger ignition whenever
Yes.
you actively spark. That's not how to technically planeswalk, but if you want to go down the avenue of trying to utilize your spark, then you can definitely do that. That's what it felt like to you.
Yeah, I think Motiva's going to try and reach in for that. I think she's going to remember. I think she's just going to remember how lonely she is.
Yeah, I think after a day like today, that's fair. I think that you are starting to really come into yourself, and even though Motiva has gained a lot and learned a lot in the scant months that she has been away from home, and the world has become so much bigger than she ever could have thought, and she has become so much bigger than she could have thought. But all that has come to show you is how empty that it can feel, and you can feel the spaces as the world around you is growing and the multiverse around you is growing. And it hurts. It's upsetting. You have felt weak your entire life, and you have felt ground under other people's boots for far longer than you have been a planeswalker. But it's starting to feel like every interaction with a planeswalker is like that, because you can feel how powerful they are and how sure they are, and you have none of that. And so you try. You feel it first in your chest. This emotion makes you feel hollow, but it's more like a hole that's burning you throughout, like a flame eating a hole through paper. And the longer you hold on to that, the more it spreads to your shoulders, your limbs, your head. And as it does that, you feel that sort of tingle along your spine that you felt right before everything went to black. There is a really interesting sensation that happens to you, and it is a sensation that you are not unfamiliar with. It feels like you have your senses and another one is layering on top of them. And it has been a sensation that you have sometimes felt when interacting with Sister, when you do magic, when you detect magic. But these are layered over even your normal senses. It feels like in your peripheral vision you can see the glint of sunlight. It feels like your skin can detect a wind on a cold mountain, but you can smell the salt of the sea. But you know that you're just in your room, miles underground, and surrounded by nothing but people, sure, but also corpses and mold and so much rock and metal. I need you to make me an Arcana check. And I need you to tell me how you are trying to grasp this. And if you can add anything to it, you should.
That's scary. Hold on. I can't add that. That's fine. Whatever. I'm not bothered at all. I think Motiva is. This is gonna sound real cheese, and I need you to hang
Uh-huh.
in with me. I think she's gonna try and like sing. I think she's going to try and like do a little ditty, but whenever like the layering and all of the magic and all of that feeling comes to her, like I really do think she would start screaming.
No, I love that.
And I don't think I know I bring this up, but like the amethyst scream in Hoseki and how it sounds layered. It
Mm-hmm.
sounds like there's like two people screeching in and out of her.
I think that that is fitting because in this moment you feel bigger than the body that you were born in. You got a 22?
I got a 22. Motiva's very good at Arcana.
You feel this sound come from your throat, this song, this representation of what is in your heart and what your heart is to you, and who you are as not just a person but as a being. This sound comes out of you, and as you reach the end of that breath in that scream, that layered one that makes you feel like you are not alone, your breath exhales and you have to let go of the note, and you open your eyes and you see that even though they're in the periphery, you can still see the mold covered walls and the bed that you're sitting on. You see a beach in front of you and pure turquoise blue water and a beautiful sunlit sky. And as you realize what you are looking at, as you realize that you are able to touch the planes that are layered on top of each other in this multiverse, is the minute that it breaks and cracks. And you are still in your moldy room in the Undercity of Ravnica. And I'm going to mark down what happened here, but you don't know how close you got or what it means.
Mhm.
But this felt important to you. This is a moment that's going to stick with you for a long time.
Man.
How are you feeling?
I don't want to say Motiva's crying, but I think she is crying, but it's not like a sad cry. She's really angry.
Mm-hmm.
I think she feels kind of useless at this point, and she's having her what can I do phase.
Yeah. Because what can you do? It feels like nothing. You know that you are doing things, and you know that you are moving through this world as able as you can be. And you know that you are doing more than, you're not just sitting around, but it feels like nothing is working. And I feel like that's when this moment of frustration really overtakes you. And I want to ask you, in this moment of emotion, do you try to reach out to Sister?
Yeah.
I think that you are still roiling with this feeling that you cannot, this feeling cannot be described into words by you, because it is a feeling that you have never felt in your life before, but you are reaching for that presence that you have known has always been, if not next to you, in just the other room, that has always been watching you, that you have for the first time in your life felt that is not there. And it's such a strong lurch of magic inside of you that you feel sick. And I need you to make a Constitution saving throw to not throw up.
Oh. Nope, that's a 6.
You immediately go to sort of move your body to the side naturally as you start retching. And for lack of a better way to describe it, it's not, it feels like nothing's coming up as you're heaving until you feel a cold sensation slither up your esophagus as Sister slithers out of your body. And you're left cold and shaking. And as this is sort of still registering in your brain, you just see Sister bigger than the average garden snake she would normally appear as. It feels almost like she is a similar size to you as she turns around to hiss at you in a way that you can't understand because you've never understood the way that she does things and how she tries to communicate to you. But she doesn't look like she's threatening you. What's Motiva doing?
I'm going to ask this. Is it possible for me to try and use speak with animals?
I am going to look at the wording of that.
I am hesitant to use it because of the wording, actually.
I think that that's really fair because I am willing to tell you that Sister is not a beast.
Yeah.
But I am going to extend to you this. You can use that spell and use a spell slot, and you can try to roll Arcana to see if you can reach out to her anyway. Because you are in a state of high emotion. There's a lot of magic in this room. And you always have the ability to overwrite a spell that you want to try. There's just a chance of it failing.
I would love to do that.
Okay. Mark the spell being used, and I want you to roll me an Arcana check.
Aye. 16.
You go to cast it through your tears and your cold and your shaking, and you feel in your head that you know it's not going to work, but you want it so desperately to work. You want so desperately for someone to be there to help you right now. And as you're casting this, you see the snake in front of you go to hiss again, and you can hear roiling through your ears in a voice that sounds so unnatural. You don't understand what you're doing. You have to let me back in.
Let you back in how? What are you doing?
I'm protecting you in the only way that I can here.
But I don't want to be alone.
I want you to roll me a persuasion check.
Also, I like to imagine this isn't English.
No, it's not. It's not. It is in the tongue that feels so natural to you that the ancientness is felt in your bones.
I already used that. Never mind.
14. Okay. How do I word this? This is really interesting. I didn't think you would try to talk to her. I feel like something very interesting about how she responds to this is you're hearing this voice, and this is a snake. You cannot see an emotion on this snake's face, but it almost feels like this voice is wet with tears as she pleads to you. I know we are so far away. I worry about if you can stand up alone to this. I worry if I can stand up alone here. I will be with you. I was, and I still will be. But I cannot let you wither away.
Motiva will curl up her hands and she'll face her and say, okay, then come back to me.
You see, as she goes closer to you, she goes to do a sensation that you have always felt is familiar, where you feel her slither over your arm to go around the back of your neck, on your shoulders, where she would sit when she would comfort you, when she would want you to know that she is protecting you. And as she goes to come closer to your face, she says, "You're already so much stronger." Before she tries to, for lack of a better way to describe it, slither back inside of you. Now, it is less uncomfortable the going in, because it is not a physical snake, it is a spirit, it is a ghost, it is an entity. But you feel as this presence settles into the pit of your stomach, the base of your spine, the hollow of your back. The shaking in your limbs stops, and it almost feels like when you breathe in, you can feel some of the warmth come back to you. As you get the feeling that there are reasons why you were feeling so sick that are not quite understandable to you at this moment. But you can feel that she is with you now, at the very least. And that is better than before. And you can now reach out to Sister again in the future if you would like her to come out and speak to you. I can just tell you verbally that she would not spend much time outside of your form.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she's keeping me alive.
Yeah, she feels like it has the feeling that she feels like being away from your home plane as what you are is damaging you. And being in a place like this, especially now with this change that is happening to you, she feels like she she feels like you are stronger together as creatures who at the end of the day are tied to a specific land, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um so I hope that actually I would love for you to tell me a bit about how Motiva's feeling before I start talking.
I think Motiva will slowly get up. She'll clean up the mess that she made from the magic from her vomiting, and then she will lay down in her bed. And I think a bit of flavor. Uh, I think she will use a minor illusion and make it feel cold.
Oh, I really like that. You chill down your room so that it feels more familiar to you, so you can take that extra step to feel more together in this moment. And as you go to lay down and you go to sleep, however tossing and turning you might have to, the weariness comes to you, and as you fall asleep, you feel a nestled coil in the hollow of your back. And I'm gonna say actually that that's probably where Sister resides when you get your Circle of Hanky sister summon. I think that she's
That
just there.
is a delightful thing. I was actually thinking about that. How'd you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. She just curls up in there because it's like a little tree trunk.
I love that.
So right now it is a metaphysical she is with you. But in the future, she can physically be with you, which I think is a
Right.
really interesting upgrade because your whole life you've just seen her as omens, or she has come to you and suddenly been here or not here. I think it's very interesting that now it is to the point where you two are almost inseparable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Motiva can pick up that it is because that have accepted her and you have accepted yourself.
I love that so much. Unironically,
Yeah.
that's really fucking emo.
Yeah, and it's why it's so different because the entire time you grew up, you reached out to her, sure, but your family has always turned their backs on what they are and who Sister is. And you experience this because you were the first to reach out and you are becoming more whole. Generational trauma healing. Yeah, if there's anything else you want to talk about really quick, for more flavor at the end of this, but if not, we're done here.
I have amazing news.
Yeah.
Do you mean done done?
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you want?
pause
Yep.
or stop the recording.
Okay, let me stop the recording.